All right, welcome back to the Community Roundtable. I'm Brother Brian, and as I have each and every week, my brother, my community ambassador, Brother Marcus. Hey, what's happening, brother? How you doing today?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Happy to be here, sitting at the round table.
And tell the family what we do each and every time we come to the roundtable. We come for many different reasons, many different topics. It doesn't matter if it's day or night, but ultimately we arrive and we leave because we focus on one thing and one thing only, and it's called EAT.
Yes, sir. EAT for us means evaluate all things. And that's what we do here at the community roundtable. Evaluate all things.
And that's what we do. We do it together, never separate. We may not agree, but we come to the round table and we focus on one thing, but we do agree that we will respectfully disagree. We agree that we may disagree. And that's the mature way to do that. But we come to a resolution for all of us. Well, Brother Marcus, the closer we get to the month of July, we focus on elections again. And it's that time. We focus on July elections and then also in the November election. Looks like in the state of Louisiana, there was a bill proposed that said, hey, allow the people to go out and vote by mail outside of the normal military and also individuals that are over 65. And guess what, brother? It was voted down.
Yeah, I ain't surprised at none of that stuff, man. That I mean, you talking about uh, giving solutions to different problems. Most people don't want the solution. They just okay, let whatever happens keep happening as usual. That was a good bill that Sister Landry or Miss Landry put forth.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to mail in the vote. And I think that the other party was looking at no, let's not let them mail it in. It might be to our advantage if they don't mail it in. I mean, because a lot of people may not show up at the poll, and we may win this election that way. Like I say, this thing is almost like political game banging. I always say it. I think about it often. The Democrats and the Republicans, they represent Crips and Bloods almost. Just like fighting for nothing. This is supposed to be about the people. So from a state level, Louisiana, we got a Democratic governor. House of Representatives, and the Senate is divided. So it's always gonna be political rifts. So this one a political rift about mailing in the vote. That's crazy. We should be. This should be about the people. It's 4 million some odd people in the state of Louisiana, and they can't come together and figure out how they gonna submit the vote. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, that was definitely a suggestion because of the coronavirus. Individuals still have a state of fear, and that's what we're going to talk about: fear. Individuals still have a state of fear of going out in the public and actually casting their uh, their their constitutional right to actually vote. And through that element of fear, they wanted to go ahead and just be able to cast a ballot, but do it through mail. And there are a couple of different options, as mentioned earlier. If you're over 65, you can request a ballot by mail. If you have some extenuating circumstances, you can request a ballot by mail. And also, if you're not here in the military, the last one they wanted to implement was due to the coronavirus to be able to cast a ballot by mail, but it was voted down. And so now individuals must go to early voting or actual the day of voting to your polls. Now the question is, how many pollings or polls will be open? Not because that they don't have the ability, but the environments. Will they be more what do they call them, districts in specific polls, or will there just be individual voting polls at I guess I could say just uh, isolated places? There's so much on the table right now.
Yeah, isolated places to go vote. Yeah, I mean that's what is that's I mean that's what I mean when I say it's supposed to be about the people. You got to figure out what's gonna be beneficial. It's 400 and some different states, city, towns, and villages in Louisiana. Four
Mm-hmm.
hundred and something. So now you got to figure out how you gonna make this voting thing work, so it could be actually for the people by the people. You see? But to argue in Congress or in the Senate talking about how are we going to do this voting process? It should let the people decide. You see, from state to state, let the people decide. It's about them. Now, do I want to take my chances and go out in COVID-19 and go to a poll, or do I want to mail it in? Now I'm gonna mail mine in, and I'm gonna make sure I get it to the right location or whatever. You know what I mean? So therefore, the people get their say so, and then the proper person will represent us in our particular state. So I mean, this is a big issue. So I mean, we ain't got but a few more months to actually decide what's gonna really take place. I mean, I'm talking, it's coming up real fast. So I mean, we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, we definitely have to reach out, and because it's going to take place not early, but the primary is going to take place in July in the state of Louisiana, because we have postponed it. It's supposed to be in April, so it's been postponed. But because of the element of fear, people are still fearful of going out, contracting this illness. Right now, we have to see. We'll see the data, the numbers. It's not about what you think you know. It's about what you can prove.
Exactly. Hey, look at this. If we postpone it from April to July, the candidates ain't been able to get out and galvanize the vote or state their particular case, how I'm gonna represent you. Now, the thing is, who do I vote for? Why am I voting? So these are the issues that's taking place. Who represent me, and if they represent me in the right way? I can't determine that because I don't have nobody in front of me giving me the accurate information of what they say they represent. And now I need to I'm voting in the blind almost.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The momentum was in place at that time in the month of March, and then all of a sudden, of course, we are fully aware of what happened, and so we are where we are at this point in time. And now we're talking about that element of fear. Nationally, there's a national program called the Breakfast Club, and there's I guess to say, an on-air personality by the name of Charlemagne the God. He interviewed Vice President Joe Biden, and he was holding, and the purpose of this interview was to hold the Democratic candidate accountable to the Black community, not the whole community, but specifically the Black community and the Black agenda. It was a good interview. I don't know if you had an opportunity to review it. And ultimately, as the interview went on, come to find out that I saw it that VP Biden was somewhat nervous, and he got very comfortable. And you should get comfortable in anyone that you're encountered with, but he ended up making a statement. And I don't want to misquote it. The statement is, because time was short, it was total interview was like 18 minutes. So around a couple of times you can hear VP Biden's, I guess someone on his campaign manager attempted to cut the interview short a couple of times. And on the last time they attempted to cut it short, Charlemagne the God said, well, no, you can't do that to Black media, indicating that why would you want to cut the interview short? We're trying to see what does this individual represent, or what does he support in our community? And so Biden went on a rampage indicating that, as Charlemagne said, that, hey, you can't do this to Black media. We need to have more questions answered. Biden came back and said, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't Black. And that there went viral all over, and a lot of commentary associated with that. Did you get a chance to hear that or check that out?
Oh yeah, I check out the Breakfast Club every morning. Charlemagne the God, all of DJ Envy, all of those guys,
and Angela,
and the sisters that they have, Angela Yee. But I mean, what you upset about? What's our Black agenda? He said, if you have a problem voting for me, you ain't Black. You really not. And so what? I mean, our vote, it counts for something. So I mean, but for him to make that statement and we get mad about it, we saying we gonna hold him accountable for the Black vote. It's not what they say. They got another saying out there right now that we're not gonna let the Black vote be held hostage. Mm-hmm. What did you say to Trump about the Black vote? and see what he says. You know,
he said the black people don't have anything to lose.
Yeah, by him. So that's the same thing that Biden is saying. So, man, you should vote for me instead of Trump. But I mean, I ain't mad about it. I'm sitting. I'm looking at what's our agenda to give him. What more questions that you want him to answer? He don't been on countless debates throughout his Democratic candidacy trying to become the president. You know. So I mean, really, we don't elect the president by populist vote anyway. So when we do administer our vote for the from state to state, ultimately the electoral college elects the president. You know, so we got to figure out what's the agenda that we have for that particular candidate. What are we going to give Trump if he? What's the agenda for Trump if he goes back into office? The same agenda. What's the agenda for Joe Biden if he goes into as our next president? You see what I'm saying? You know, Biden. What we do? What's the agenda for him? This guy been in Congress, or he been in politics since 1972. He was elected as a senator in 72 or either 74. You know, and in that process, he represented as a senator or whatever. Was one of the youngest guys to go into the in the Senate capacity. You know, he was 29 years old when he got into politics. So
he has a lot of years of being a politician. That's a lot clear. Of years. And 8 years as the VP for President Obama. But let me bring this to light. This is the challenge that I have with that statement. Now, when I first heard the interview, it went over my head until I started hearing the commentary. Then I went back and reviewed the 18-minute audio. I'm sorry, the video and audio again. So then I was able to look into it, and I broke it down. A couple of things here that he changed his vernacular when it came to black media. Yeah. You know, start using the terminology "ain't" and things like that, the broken English jargon, things like that. So I question that. Why would you change your vernacular when I guess you know, in public speaking they say speak to your crowd. I get it. However, are you making mockery because African Americans do not truly understand the Queen's language?
Queen's English.
Yeah. So I mean, I question that.
Yeah.
The actual colloquial speech.
Yeah.
And then what I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm looking at something a little bit deeper, psychological. Was this a unintentional commentary from Biden because of his implicit bias? You know, we all have biases. Once you get under stress or pressure, the real you will actually evolve. It will show up. Yeah. So are you just saying that my ethnic identity determines the party that I have to vote for now? Just because I don't vote for you? I never said that. You follow me?
Yeah, I follow you. Yeah, I mean, both of them are saying the same thing. If you black, you should be voting for me. Trump said the same thing. You got nothing to lose.
Now, to me, that's saying that he expected.
Yeah, but at one point in time, they was expecting us to vote Republican, and we switched over to the Democratic Party. So, you know, all of them expecting to gain the vote. They say, "Oh, I need the black vote." Actually, they don't need the black vote. You see what I'm saying? Because they go out and vote, then the electoral college say, "Okay, this is who we want," or whatever the case may be.
That's proven. That's true.
Yeah, from the state level, local level, all of these different things, we got to understand the power of voting when it happened. We just 55 years up from the Voting Rights Act, right? We 55 years up from it. We don't really understand the voting process, but what's your agenda, homie? Charlemagne the God. You say you Charlemagne the God. You know, what's your agenda? Give him the agenda. Don't let him get off the phone. Oh, we got the agenda right here. We want to explain to you, this is what we need. This is, you know, we're not going to let the vote be held hostage. They go, we want equal pay and jobs. We keep asking for that.
Now, you make a valid point. I respect that. You're right. While I'm saying we as a community, we're asking these candidates, what's your agenda for the black community? We must present them with an agenda. And now we can come to the table and tweak it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole case. What I'm gonna put on the table? I'm asking for equal paying jobs, land of my own. I was looking at 40 acres in the mule, right? They
Spike
said
Lee?
after slavery, they supposed, yeah, that's his company, 40 acres in the mule. But they say after slavery, when uh, General Sherman or whatever said, oh yeah, he took 50 preachers, according to Lowell, he took 50 preachers off to the side and talked to them in this particular mansion and told them that, okay, we don't want the war, we're gonna give you what do y'all want, and one of the burly slaves stood up and said, yeah, we want land of our own. We want to be educated. And he said, well, we give you 40 acres and some of these mules that's left, that we confiscated, So that happened. That brought up the law of 40 acres in the mule. Now, what's your agenda? I want the 40 acres. You see what I'm saying? Let us get the 40 acres. Let's get some land of our own so we can cultivate agriculture, agribusiness, all the HBCUs at one point, they was doing agribusiness. That's how they started Bethune-Cookman College, Grambling University, all of these different universities. They was doing business, agribusiness. Tuskegee Institute was building bricks, making their own bricks out of straw and mud, to be able to provide a service for a particular community. Same thing has to happen. What's your agenda? Where you going with it, and how you gonna focus on it? You know what I mean? So what's the system? Now there go your new system in play now, because you have an agenda and you got to speak to these particular people. They go and speak to the Jewish community about what's the agenda, because they have a platform. You see what I'm saying? They saying, okay, we go our agenda. This is what we want. This is what we deserve. You see what I'm saying? The Catholic Church. They speak straight to the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely coincide with you. It has to get to a point. So the same thing we said on the previous show about getting involved. We're still at a state of just asking for others to create a plan for us. No, we must get involved. We must become active and saying that, hey, this is our agenda. We come there collectively. Just like you and I, we just got through talking about economic development, change in our community. We talking about, hey, we need to get about 5 to 10 investors to go into a community and actually buy homes, refurbish. We all buy supplies together, and we change a community together. We don't sit back and wait on someone just to give us something. No, we're trying to create a plan early in the early developmental stages and creating a plan and working through this plan. And politically, we must do the same thing. Stop sitting back just asking, well, what do you have planned for us, sir? No. This is our plan. We have it rolled out, and it's signed by 300 individuals from this community. This is what we must do.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got that beggars mentality, though. We begging for the crumb from the master table, or whoever table can give us a bone. But I mean, when you talk about building the community, that's how it has to happen. It's 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10 people sitting down, formulating information and saying, okay, we got how much money? We need the finances first. Okay, we got $25 as our dues that we come up with, or $1,000 as the dues. Now we got cash flow. Now you start to implement things that need to be taken care of inside the community. Until we start doing that, then all this stuff that we talking about is just talk,
Yeah, you're right, because I think that's what Booker T. Washington said. He said, you build your economics first. So that's why everybody's going on this commentary about what VP Biden has said, because we're at a stage where we think that this person will really control us. No, control our own destiny, have a plan, create a community, create economics, create your own education, not your own, but create an education system from apprenticeships, traditional schooling, higher education. We have to get to that stage. But it becomes to the basic first. Do you have a family savings plan?
Yeah. Like the guy say, you shouldn't do black media like that. Who said it's black media? That's white media. It's owned by the white man. It's not owned by them. They just a group of individuals that's members of the Breakfast Club. They have their own show, but the media is run by them. They own the media. They control what's being said. So I mean, he's speaking to an audience, which is us at that particular time. He's speaking to us. Now, if you get offended by it, you get offended by it. But now you got to figure out the agenda. Like we've been talking about, let's figure out the agenda and let's move forward with the move. Now, when we do that, we can galvanize the people and say, look, okay, we doing this, and that. But until then, we not doing nothing. But I say that to say this, you know, all of those guys like Charlemagne the God, you know, DJ Envy, them guys are influencers in the community. Now they could call their own meeting and put together a 10-point plan to give to somebody, but because it's just talking, it's not a real aggressive movement going on. I mean, you know, the civil rights movement was our last real movement. We laying dormant now because we think we have arrived. And in fact, you know, there's a whole lot of things that can be done with a collective effort from us. When we get that collective effort by pooling them resources and looking back at the past, not his history, but our history, and say, okay, Booker T. Washington, he was making bricks, we can make them too. W.E. Du Bois was talking about the economic system and creating this. Let's look back at that history so it can repeat itself. Not their part of it, but those individuals that was laying down foundation and figure out, okay, the banking system is not working for us on their side. Let's make it work for us on our side. You know, Plexi versus Ferguson, separate but equal. That was a case that was that made the 14th Amendment and 13th Amendment one of the most valuable amendments of the Constitution. They saying it was separate but unequal school education, right? So Brown versus Board of Education came about and made it that we was able to go to their schools and all of that integration took place. So now we figure we in, but in fact we need to go back to separate but equal. Let's make it. Let's put an equal playing field here. The only way you get an equal playing field is you control some of the assets. We don't control none of the assets, none of the land. That's the most important part of it, the land. Because that cultivation that brings about a product. You see what I'm saying? Now you got something to build facilities on because you got some land.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty heavy. You know, the more we talk about it, the more my mind is running. I wanted to cut you off, but I didn't. I mean, you're right. It's about being in control. Like you were just mentioning a certain neighborhood that's in the Monroe area. You can tell the developer's uniqueness because he builds and he makes a certain signature on his property. So you can go in that community and see all the property that looks similar. Well, that belongs to that developer because he created his own brand because of ownership. Right. If he or she did not own it, they wouldn't be able to make those kind of moves and make those type of changes. And that's what we have to get to. If we're worried about a political move, we build our economics first. We develop on ownership, education, our own schools in our own communities, and then we raise up the next attorneys, the next doctors, the next DA, the next political figure. But until then, we always come to the table asking someone else that does not have ties direct to our community, well, what are you going to do for us? No. Once again, you present an agenda, and now you tweak it to where it's agreeable to all parties.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, I look at somebody in the community that Michael Eccles. I look at this guy, how he's studying the political landscape. He's a businessman. He studied the political landscape, got into the politics of Monroe from the city council's perspective, right? Now he's a House representative on the state level, right?
Right.
So he's a businessman studying the politics of doing business inside his community. So now he's a better influencer on what needs to be done in his district or in his area. You see what I'm saying? So He positioned himself to be able to deal with all aspects of being able to be in control of that particular area or that particular city. And when it comes community, when it comes to economics, how do we build the city around this particular platform? I already been on the city council level. I'm on the state House of Representative level. Now I'm going to show you that we can do this, this, and this in district, whatever district he represented in the city. See, that's how we have to do to inform our people. City councilman, not state representative Charles Jones, when he was a state representative, created the Southside Economic Development District because he saw a need that the city needed to be divided up in a way that the South Side benefits from some of the monetary dollars that's coming into the city from a state, from a local perspective. When I pay taxes on my business, money goes on in the 71202 area code of it. You see what I'm saying? So we got 5 or 6 different area codes that the money goes directly to the area code. So now you got vibrant businesses on the north side and real small business on the south side that don't have any real funding. So that's what I mean about looking into the system, changing them, and making adjustments to them, and say, okay, this is what we do for our community.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And as I continued on, as we're talking about the Biden commentary, a lot of a few people end up saying, "Oh, it was just humor. It was just a joke." No, it's not a joke when you're talking about how serious an election is. And so now you try to downplay it by saying it was just a joke. No, it's not a joke. Your livelihood is not a joke, because if it was a joke, why are we voting? Number one. Number two, Charlemagne the God, he held them accountable to this thing called the 1994 crime bill. I'm not too familiar with it, but Brother Mark, we got to research that for next week and come back and report exactly what's in that 1994 crime bill.
Oh, I'm a part of the crime bill. I fell victim to the crime bill. Joe Biden is part of the Good Old Boys Network too. I told you he was in office since 72 or 74. So his mind frame is the same as the older politicians that founded the Constitution. He grew up in a different era. He was I fell victim to the crime bill. 50-1 crack cocaine. The war on drugs. I fell victim to the crime bill because I was selling drugs in my community. And now this the war on drugs gave the federal government the authority to come in those small communities and arrest so-called local drug dealers and send them to federal institutions all across the country. So I fell victim to the crime bill. So that's what he meant by the 94 crime bill that put a lot of young brothers in prison and gave them felony cases. But we was actively dealing with drugs, but we probably wasn't kingpin. But because they infiltrated our cities and put these drugs there, because they had a part in it. The government had a part in establishing the drugs in the community, acting as if, oh, this is a way you can make some money. And we all fell victim to it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what, again, you got to understand your history so it won't repeat itself, because now they enacting another war. Get caught with a handgun. You get 20 years, you go to state. You can go to the fed level with a handgun. But because I don't understand, I'm the young brother putting it in scrapping it on me, saying, yeah, I'm out here selling drugs. They catch you with the drugs and the dope, and the gun, 20 years. In the state on the federal level, because they changed the law to let you out for the drug, but put you back in for the gun. So that's what he mean by the crime bill. This guy, he helped construct that. He helped put that together. You see, and a host of other politicians did. It is what it is. But we got to be in the know. We got to understand that these people who we say represent us, are they really our representatives? That's what I mean by understanding what it is to vote, how and who we voting for. Therefore, we can understand this person represent me for real, not just he waving and kissing babies when it's time for election. No, sir.
All right. Well, brother, that's our time right there. We'll definitely get back together next week, and we got to break this down even more about representation in our community. Do they just take our vote for granted, or are they actually, just like we do in small business, we're actually marketing, supporting, and asking individuals to do business with us, but these politicians that represent us or that choose to represent us in the future, do they just expect the black vote to come with a specific party? So we're going to focus on that and talk about that, and we'll let you go ahead and end it and get us out of here.
Yes, sir. I mean, like I say all the time, man, evaluate all things. Vote or die. Don't hold the vote hostage. Whatever the case may be. And stand on what you know. You know, get out there and research everybody, all the candidates, everything that you can research, so you can figure out what's going on in your community, because we sitting at the community round table waiting on you to evaluate all things. I'm out.
That's right. And get involved. Talk to you next week.
Yes, sir.